Welcome to Audible Interlude, a G.I. Joe podcast. I'm your host, Phantom Troublemaker.
And
Real name, Dave West. Sorry, I messed that up because I was trying to throw a banner up real quick.
My name is Noel with codename Crapshoot.
And I'm your Cobra intern who today thought 1 o'clock meant 103. Codename Legion Cub.
I mean, to be honest, that was a little bit better than Hasbro's done a few times lately, where it was like 114.
True.
Well, that's okay, though, because the email didn't come until 112.
Yeah, I got mine at 106, so,
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, they
only
probably
2 minutes
out
after they
bit.
sold out.
Right. All right. So anyway, I'm not even wearing my normal G.I. Joe shirt because I am currently consolidating a massive pile of stuff to sell at a yard sale this Saturday. So if you're backpacking through the Atlanta area, please do stop by and take a look at my wares because I need to clear this stuff out before any potential relocations that may or may not be happening. New York Night 1974 in the chat. Silent Interlude, Wreckship 85, Jeff Butler, Will R, and JJ Shoulder Height. What is going on? Good evening to you, sir. Always happy to see you here. Thank you all for showing up. We're going to have some fun tonight. This will not be an epic marathon show because we will be doing our review of Scarlet number 3 as soon as we're done here. That will be available later this week wherever you get your podcasts. And in the meantime, please check out Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram. Check out those pinned stories where you can get links to our t-shirts because now that audiblearmy.com is on hiatus, the only way that you can support the show is by buying some merch, or if you please, hit us up in the super chat right here on the Needless Things YouTube channel. Everything that you send us goes directly towards hosting and promotion and whatever else. So
Tactical
thank
shovels.
you for your support. Yeah, well, those shovels are never happening. I'm just going to say it right now.
Yes, they are. We'll have a conversation at Dragon Con.
I'm going to send the shovel prototype to Kristian.
I have
put him in charge of Project Shovel
down here that might have the necessary tools.
That is very exciting. New York Night 1974. I was just in Atlanta 2 days ago. I will never go back. That traffic sucked. Yes, the traffic here is horrible. Absolutely nightmarish, and definitely one of the things that I was thinking, maybe leaving Atlanta wouldn't be so bad.
Well,
Silent Interlude, I legitimately want a tactical shovel. You know what? I do too. Kristian's right. We will make them happen.
We're going to make this happen.
Rachel Salinas is asking, is it official? Are you moving to Texas? Undecided. We're going back and forth. We are carefully weighing all of our options.
He's being blinded by the stars because at night they are big and bright. Deep in the heart of Texas.
Road Pig John, hello, and Yo Joe, guys. Yo Joe. A little early in the show, but Yo Joe, there you go. All right, what else have we got going on here? Our next live stream is August the 19th right here on the Needless Things YouTube channel, which means next week we finally get back to doing a segments episode. Got some fun planned for that one. And I do believe Kristian is up next for Let's Freaking Go Ring, but I'm not positive that's going to be on the docket. We'll see what's going on there.
You got a lot of things in the pipeline. It's been a while. It's been
We've got there's an awful lot in the pipeline. Speaking of in the pipeline,
Koopas. Pipeline.
Oh, but you're talking about the movie. See, I want Super Mario Brothers the movie O-ring figures. I know we got the like Ninja Turtle looking ones, but I want some O-rings of Mojo Nixon specifically. All right. Live at Dragon Con, August the 30th, 2024 at 1 p.m. Marriott M103 and 105. We will be presenting This man, this machine. It's not really a Robo Joe panel. I just thought it would be really fun to put him on there. But we're going to be talking about some of the weirdest and wackiest stuff from G.I. Joe. Plus, who's the best boy? We will be ranking, or not even ranking, we'll be doing a tournament to determine the greatest pet in the history of G.I. Joe.
Oh, because these always go so well for us.
It's going to be a bloodbath.
It's going to be the Stingray. That's how our Dragon Con audience is.
Oh my gosh, yeah, you're probably right. It's going to get weird for sure.
Yeah.
Will R
says,
dolphin. My impression was everyone in Georgia drives like Bo and Luke. No, the problem is half of them drive like Bo and Luke, and half of them drive like your dead aunt. That is where the issues come in. I see a challenge in the chat for Noel. Rachel Salinas says, "Is that Noel's cosplay theme?" Noel, get on that Robo Joe costume. You've got 3 weeks. All right.
I should, I thought about putting together one for Dragon Con this year, something new, but it's not happening.
No, I'm so close. I'm so close to the one that I talked about like a year ago, but it keeps raining outside. I have not yet had a day that wasn't too humid to spray paint. And if I can't get this stuff spray painted, I'm not going to have my costume.
Well, I for sure will be debuting a new costume that should have been debuted at Joe Fest, but it didn't. So
I'm intrigued.
All right. Wotesh says the other half drive like Coy and Vance. We will never again mention Coy and Vance on this show.
We don't discuss that season.
Wotesh, every week I want to eject you from the chat. Congratulations. If we ever meet Wotesh in person, I'm going to have an ejected from the chat medal. Ready
I'm going to have
go.
to shake his hand because someone actually remembered Coy
and Vance, right? All right. Moving on, today there was a bit of an event that we've already referenced. We'll talk about it further, but thankfully Hasbro Pulse gave us a heads up with an email. Roughly, well, I got mine about 6 minutes after it. Well, let's see, 28 minutes. No, 12. 12 minutes after it sold out, I got my email. Noel, you said yours is about 6 after.
Yeah, mine said 106.
And you made a point because I was thinking that the Once a Man Cobra Commander sold out in 4 minutes, but I wasn't thinking about the fact that it didn't go up until 3 after.
Yep. So about 1 minute.
It sold out in about a minute.
And I had Pulse up on my laptop about a half hour before. And I was like, all right, well, I'll just start refreshing around 1. And then by the time that I went to add it to my cart, because Pulse signs you out so quickly, it made me sign back in as my Pulse Premium membership. And then I, of course, lost it out of my cart.
Yeah, it wasn't, it's not a very good experience right now. I had the convention exclusives page pulled up at 1 and started refreshing. Nothing was happening. So I went to the new page, I went to the G.I. Joe page, and then I just searched Commander and it came up. But it didn't pop up in any of the regular places that things pop up. And then I also wanted the Death's Head, which I'm kind of mad about that too, because I thought the Death's Head was an SDCC exclusive. And my son and I both wanted one of those. So I bought Death's Head and then found out later on it was just San Diego first. And now it's just up for pre-order everywhere. And I wouldn't have spent that $80 today if I'd known, because Monster Force is hitting any day now. And I need my Monster Force money.
So I had my desktop and my phone going, but they made a community post on the Hasbro Pulse YouTube channel at like the crack of dawn this morning to let people know that that it was going up at 1 for premium, 2 for non-premium members, and I think I just put mine on the Comic-Con page and just kept hitting refresh, and I mean,
it eventually came up.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, like I said, it took a while because I much like
must have
Noel,
just
I
searched
had
it
the page up
just
like
the right time.
15 minutes before, but like starting at 2 minutes till. I
Well,
was
I
just
heard-
refresh.
I think we had heard there were 2 pallets were all that were left over after San Diego, and so we knew it was going to be a very scarce product.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, but
Wow.
I mean, like allowing people to buy 5 because both
That's
Mindbender and
nuts.
Serpentor were limited too.
Right.
Yeah.
Kevin Riddle, welcome. I was able to get my 2 with no issues. How lucky was that? Because the app is trash. Okay, so I used to be a big. We'll hide this for a second because we're going to come back to it. You guys may remember I used to be a big advocate of the Hasbro Pulse app because it used to be you'd get the app notification right as the item came up. Like that's how I got everything. Is that app notification came in, I clicked on it and went and bought it. Those would always come before the emails. But I uninstalled the app a few months ago because there's certain things that you can't do in the app, but that you can do on just like the mobile browser. And every time you'd hit a link, it would just open the app and you couldn't even get to the mobile page. So I just deleted the app and I've been doing everything through the web browser or the mobile browser. And it's worked much, much better, but I don't get the app notifications anymore. But apparently that doesn't matter because from what I understand, the app notifications also come late now.
Well, the app, the last update that they did, which has been a while, I didn't realize. I think there's still some bugs in it.
Some
because
Cobra La bugs?
Exactly, because this past week, I got the shipping notice for Doc finally, and I was like from Hasbro Pulse, and I'm like, okay, where are my Night Creeper and Jinx? So I went to the app to check my orders, and it would any orders before June of 2024, you had to go to the old site to see. So I couldn't even pull up my orders. But today I got my shipping notice for the Night Creeper, so I think they're just, at least for Florida, pulsing them out to once a week.
Pulsing them out.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I see what you did there. So the news is not all dire because, as we found out probably about an hour or so after Cobra Commander sold out.
Ha ha, fooled you.
Tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, they are opening up a pre-order, which who could have seen this coming other than everybody who has bought the last several exclusives, because they've done this every time. Well, they didn't do it with Chuckles because they had 8 billion Chuckles just sitting around for sale for like 9 weeks. But yes, they have they're putting up a pre-order. But what's interesting is it's not like, if you remember, they did a second production run of Serpentor, they did a second production run of Dr. Mindbender, and those came months later. But this says September. So I wonder if maybe they got some of the shipment ready for San Diego Comic-Con, and this is the rest of the shipment. Because September is a pretty reasonable amount of time. It is, good Lord, less than a month away.
I don't I don't feel bad laughing at the people who went down and plunked $200 down today, thinking they were just going to go flip them all,
right?
For, $100-something bucks a piece.
Got them.
It was like, so yeah, because Hasbro's got your money because they apparently charged them and like sent shipping notices today for the people who got them. For a lot of people.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ooh, I haven't checked that. Let me.
I didn't get mine yet, but there's no
I don't know if everybody, but I
surprise.
did see some people say that their cards are already charged.
Yeah, my
card
is charged for sure,
yeah.
but I haven't gotten a shipping notice yet.
But if it works out how it has been, I'll get the figure,
and then you'll get the shipping,
and then I'll get the mutated snake, then I'll get the accessories, because I just can't get everything at once, it seems.
Well, and I will say this about the Death's Head is that at least I will be getting kind of an earlier one because I will be reviewing it on the Needless Things YouTube channel.
Well, and finding out that it's not a SDCC exclusive. Is the version from San Diego? Well, I guess let me back up. Is the regular version coming in the card packaging as well, or
I
was that a
believe
San
they're all the
Diego
same.
thing?
I don't think they're doing it like they've done in the past where there's some exclusive packaging. I think it's all
Okay.
the same thing.
Wah, wah.
Yeah, well. All right. Got a little more news on the non-G.I. Joe front from our pals over at Skeletron. A little update on the Robo-Skull Mark II. You can see some of the lovely tooled pieces here. I could not be happier about this and its imminent arrival, possibly in October. They are very apologetic about the delays, but again, an item like this, I mean, we saw it in person at Joe Fest. It's incredible. It's gorgeous. It is going to be a landmark toy, a centerpiece of your collection. I do not mind waiting for it to be as good as it needs to be. As is the case with any crowdfunded thing, please make it right. Don't just send it out to meet your deadline. Make it right. And obviously the good faith is pretty high for these guys because they've been with us every step of the way, giving us updates, showing us how things are coming along. We've also got, there's the shot of everything that you're getting with this, which is bonkers. I would like to point out, if you look, the two different seats. I think this is a little, unfortunately, it's not a close-up right now, but you get a really good look at the different scaled seats, the one for the 118 and one for the 112. And then the blast effects, the missiles, the lightning effect. Just an incredible package. I can't wait to review this thing. And then we also saw some tooling for the 6-inch Red Shadows Wolf Trooper, which is very exciting. You know, since we've gotten the 118th Wolf Trooper in hand, we know the quality that we're going to be dealing with. The I don't know, I guess just the proportionality and the girth of these figures is just, they don't feel independent to me. They just the 118th ones anyway, they just feel like a mass market product, but nicer. Also got, if you check out their Kickstarter, you'll see all the details of the update. I'm not going to run through everything because there's a lot of information in here. It's just exciting that things are moving along and that they are currently on a fulfillment schedule for the vehicle with the Blood Wolf and the special edition vehicle with Red Weasel, as well as the flight stand and the 4-inch Jungle Trooper in October. And then Winter 24 is everything else. So in theory, by the end of the year, we will have our complete orders in hand.
And these went up for, when did this first fund back? Because it was around the time of the Sky Striker. Yeah, because it was almost 3 years ago when this thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. It has been a long time, but again, their constant progress reports have kept me at ease about it.
Even though it's, when you stop and think about it, yeah, it was same time as the Sky Striker. I think because of their communication, it doesn't seem like it's been 3 years. 3 years just sounds like forever ago.
At no point has there been like months of radio silence.
Yeah.
Silent Interlude says, I didn't get the Robo Skull, only got the O-Ring Trooper, but that thing looks awesome. I kind of want one now. I would be willing to bet retailers will have them. Maybe not a ton of them, but I think if you keep your eyes open and stay tuned in to the Audible Interlude, a G.I. Joe podcast, you'll get a pretty good heads up on who's carrying them and when. So keep your eyes and your ears open. I believe there will be opportunities to get a Robo Skull if you want one. However, it will not be at the Kickstarter pricing. So just be aware of that. Moving on, we have also got an update from our pals over at Call Sign Longbow. Also been pretty good about providing the updates. We've got some tooling for the Lancer body being prepared to be cut into steel. Always cool to see these. This is just a render of what that's going to look like, but it's cool to see this kind of stuff. I love all of the details of production, and I'll tell you right now, if every one of these companies made a documentary about their production process, I would love that.
If I wish, I still had it. I don't think I do, but back in the mid 80s, I want to say like 84, 85, Hasbro actually put out a children's picture book called Let's Visit a Toy Factory.
Oh, wow.
And there was no GI Joe in it, but it showed the process with workers putting together gem dolls in humanoid
Oh my gosh.
monsters. Yeah, but I want to say that I gifted that before I moved to the new house. I'll have to double check, but you can usually find them on eBay fairly cheap. But it's full of all that stuff. It
Oh, that's great.
explains how you make molds and blah 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 blah.
I got to track that down. And then one more piece of news from Call Sign Longbow. The ghost figures have been completed and have been packaged. Obviously, well, I don't know, maybe everybody doesn't know this. Containers are a problem again right now, a big problem, especially, again, for these independent toy companies. But they have secured a container for the ghost figures. So the ghost is going to be the first Call Sign Longbow action figure to be deployed. And then we'll have more information as it crosses the ocean to get to us. And that brings us to... I told you guys this show's moving right along today, but fortunately, we have got plenty of input from our sound off. If you are following Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram, and why in the world wouldn't you be? It is the best place to contact us directly. Shoot us a message if you've got information or just something that you want us to share. Send us that message. And Sound Off will be posted every day that we are doing a live stream, and it gives you the opportunity to tell us what you want us to talk about here on the show. And we've got some good stuff this week. Apparently, I was afraid after such a big active week last week, everybody might be a little tapped out. But we've got some pretty good stuff to talk about here. So we're going to start from Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram. XR Borges X. How many classified vehicles and figures can we actually support? I went through my collection this weekend, and I'm starting to wonder, when is enough enough? Don't get me wrong, I love this stuff, but AI just bought an airplane. Wait, what? But AI just bought an airplane. What's going on here? But I just bought an airplane when I haven't even gotten my helicopter yet. Yeah, I'm going to tell you when enough is enough. Enough was enough before his tank even started. What is up, Punk with Toys? Good to see you in the chat. Thank you for the free sticker at Joe Fest. I appreciate it. Everybody check out A Punk with Toys right here on YouTube. But seriously, like, you guys, I said it many, many times. I never wanted big classified vehicles.
Yeah, I figure if rumors are true about what we may be getting in the future, I'm definitely going to have to start being more selective with what I
What
purchase.
are the rumors? I haven't heard the rumors.
Well, I mean, just like that they will just continue doing things at maybe this vamp price point.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure we're going to get things like an Striker and maybe a Snowcat or something along those lines. But yeah, I don't know. It's just I don't have the shelf space for everything. I'm not going to just go spend $100 on every vehicle that's there just to have it in my collection. I'm not a completist by any means. So yeah, I don't know.
Well, and as I said last week, I am not backing the Rattler. And I am 100% like, that's my decision. And it's not that I don't think it's great, and it's not that I don't think it's a good value. I see the value. I think it looks incredible. I just don't want a giant Rattler. I've got it's still here because I've been so busy I haven't hung it back up yet. I've got a Rattler that is exactly the right size for my needs. I do not need one 3 times as big as this, or whatever. I guess it's only twice as big, but still, I don't need it, so I'm not backing it. And that's not to say I won't back another HasLab in the future, because if they do a whale, I'm in. And it certainly isn't to say that if a Snowcat comes out, I don't want that. I want you know, there are going to be some things that I cannot say no to, but the Rattler is not one of them.
Yeah, like a Thunder Machine is going to be, yes, I need to have that in my collection.
But it's going to
Uh,
be that big.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not going to have a wingspan of
Right,
6
right.
feet,
Well,
so
it'll fit on a
fit on a
shelf,
shelf.
but
Yeah.
it's going to take up the same amount of space as 24 classified figures.
Well, but if they the Toy Fair catalog showed us anything with the Snowcat being able to hold 10 GI Joe figures, then that Thunder Machine should hold at least 8 Dreadnoks.
But I do want to be clear. I do not in any way think that Hasbro should stop doing the HasLabs. I think they need to keep them up, do them as long as you can do them, keep GI Joe in the public eye as much as possible, you know, treat it right. But just me personally, like I said, there are things that I can say no to, which is somewhat shocking to pretty much everybody. All right, moving on. Also from Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram, Wreckship85, who is here in the chat. It's probably going to happen at some point to keep Classified fresh and new. So come up with a new Dreadnought to join Zartan's crew. Interesting. Did you guys get to think about this one at all today? Kristian,
Yep.
you gave a big mighty head nod. Let's hear yours first.
So her name is Susan Liquor. So she goes by
Easy.
no. S Liquor, and she is the Dreadnoks bartender. She's going to have a different buck because she's going to be kind of beefier, an older woman, and she's going to have a bat as her main weapon. And she's just like barroom brawl, fight club personality.
Okay. All right. I like that because mine goes right along with that. I'll just say it right up front. Mine is definitely going to be somewhat based on Andrew Dice Clay. He is the Dreadnoks. He is a stand-up comic who just didn't quite make it. Now, granted, Clay obviously had a very successful career, but this guy just didn't quite make it. But his vocal ability, his talents are good enough that he can be the Dreadnoks PR guy. He's the one, since they're mercenaries, they're for hire. He's the one who's just civilized enough to deal with the larger entities that hire the Dreadnoks. So in his off time, he's in the bar hanging out, just absolutely hated by the rest of the Dreadnoks because his jokes are terrible. But he's got just enough skill at communicating and talking to people that they keep him around because he's a valuable business partner. And his name is Loudmouth.
If you can get the aesthetics to be a mix of like that greaser Andrew Dice Clay look and Jimmy the Mouth of the South Heart,
Those things are not far apart. My thought was for the figure, he'd be a deluxe figure because Hasbro loves deluxe figures.
What's his pet?
And he's got right. Oh, what? Yeah. What would be a no? He doesn't come with a pet. He comes with a ventriloquist dummy.
Oh, yes,
a ventriloquist dummy of Cobra Commander.
Yes.
And
I thought it was going to be like Paul Ellering with little Rocco.
And he's got swappable arms and a swappable jacket piece. So he's got like an Andrew Dice Clay style leather jacket that he wears for his stand-up, but then he's got like a nicer jacket for his business meetings.
I didn't actually come up with a new character, but I have some ideas that have been rolling around in my head for years about potential like Dreadnought, appearances and things. And I've always wanted to have a couple of Dreadnoughts based on Hawk and Animal. the Legion of Doom.
Oh,
the Warriors,
yeah.
because I mean, clearly it's all drawing from the same source. I know they had Chaos, who had the kind of hockey mask looking thing, but like I'd love to see one that's based on Lord Humongous, and I realize that Road Pig kind of takes some elements out of that as well. But just with that, that big mask and just that sort of like gravitas, I'd love
Yeah.
to have a character like that.
We've got some good suggestions here in the chat. New York Night 1974 says Foulmouth, the Dreadnought psychoanalyst. And also Deadpan, the Dreadnought chef. Now, would that be Deadpan or would that be Roadkill?
Because Deadpan could be a stand-up comedian as well.
That's true. That's very true.
In the vein of Stephen Wright.
A Punk with Toys makes a really good point. Hit that like button, people.
Yep.
Thank you, Punk.
Pew, pew, pew.
Rachel Salinas, Dreadnought Dennis, Ginger Vitus. And Rexship85 with his own suggestion. I was thinking of a chef for the Dreadnoughts called Pitmaster, and he'd be deluxe with a grill and sharpened utensils and a couple pieces of meat. I love it. Make him look kind of like Leatherface.
And the pieces of meat should have
humanish forms. No, we don't want to make them cannibals.
No. I was gonna say it should have like little dog tags on it. One that says mutt, one that says order.
That's terrible.
Well, like from Cobra Commander issue number, was it 1? It kind of seemed like the Dreadnoughts maybe eating people.
Well, yeah, right. Yeah. JJ Shoulder Height says, I want a loser fanboy in the vein of Alan from The Hangover named Gopher. I would love like just some little cosplay Dreadnought that they have hanging around. Like maybe he's, he's got money or something.
That's kind of what Thrasher was.
To be
a
Dreadnought
that's true.
So badly, but they don't want anything to do with him.
Okay, wait.
He just shows up everywhere.
Hillbilly Harper is in the house. Hillbilly says, tomorrow is my wife's birthday. Can y'all wish her a happy birthday? Her code name is Sharper. We can do one better, Hillbilly. Are you guys ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Sharper. Happy worst rendition of Happy Birthday ever to you. Happy birthday, Sharper Yojo.
And we have to pay royalties to sing that song.
We don't anymore. It's a wonderful time.
It's finally in the public domain.
Oddly enough, you do have to pay royalties if you want to sing the Weird Al song that he made as an alternative to the Happy Birthday song. All right. From Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram. I don't know where your avatar went here, bassist Carlos, or shall I say Rachel. Classified vehicles seem to be a popular topic. Indeed, they are. For large non-HasLab vehicles, what would you like to see next? Another Vamp reuse or a completely new mold? Noel, what do you want?
I think I've answered my question 100 times. It's got to be the Thunder Machine. That's the dream right there.
Hillbilly says, she said thank you with the biggest smile on her face. Well, you are very welcome. I got to tell you, Silent Interlude says Dreadnought happy birthday singing trio. I got to tell you, I think the Dreadnoughts would have done a better job.
Oi.
That was we're going to work on that. Somebody hit us up at Dragon Con. If you show up to the panel and you have I'm talking about the Audible Interlude panel. We are hosting another panel that we'll talk about next time. Come to our regular episode panel. If your birthday is that weekend, we will sing you happy birthday. We will give you a free itty bitty ditty bag, and we will do a much better job with the song, live and in person. Okay, so Noel says Thunder Machine. I'm dying for a Snowcat. Now, we don't know for sure that either of those things are doable in that Vamp price point. But, years ago, Lenny said that the Thunder Machine did not need to be a HasLab. So we are going to proceed as though that's still true, even though it might not be. So I'm going to say Snowcat. I've been saying I'd go nuts if they revealed that. I would love it. Even though it's climate specific, it's such a good vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
But we have Arctic Joes and Cobra Troopers with no attack vehicle. So
and Target's like, hey, we could sell a Tiger Cat.
Right, exactly. And oh my gosh, I would almost rather them just do that in the first place. Which they might. They do have a history of Tiger Force coming out before the original version. Yeah, I've
just happen to have things right.
My
talk about them.
It's
my vote actually is the same as what Kevin Riddle said, and I'm going with the Skyhawk since you already took Polar Cat or Snowcat, because that's an iconic vehicle, and
yeah,
and you can do that one because that one's not quite as big. It doesn't have as much plastic to it.
Yeah, I feel like Skyhawk could be the SMS price point.
Yeah, and I mean, if you did it for classified, you'd put a canopy that actually has plastic. So
they did for the 25th, so
in the open. So yeah, I mean, you dress it up a little bit.
I mean, as I have often said, the 25th Skyhawk is the only acceptable Skyhawk.
Lies.
I mean, we have been teased a Fang, and I think that could probably be at a similar price point than a Fang.
Yeah, I think so. All right. Moving along from Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram. Bassist Carlos gets another one in. Addressing what we just talked about, there seems to be a gap between the $100 Vamp and the $300 plus HasLab. Would you like to see something in the $200 area, and what would that be? And I think what we just discussed is potentially in the maybe not 200 but 150 range. But what do you guys think? What would land? I don't feel like the Thunder Machine or Snowcat would land in that 200, but what potentially would?
Well,
Havoc. I think the Havoc might.
If you were doing the Dragonfly at mass retail, you could probably do it for 200. But because they're doing it as a HasLab, they are beefing it up a little bit. They're putting electronics in it. You're getting extra accessories, which is why it came out of the price it did. So I think something in that size. Yeah, Havoc would be probably a good call for that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at my Cobra stuff, trying to figure out.
Because I'm wondering if the Slugger would be, but the thing is, the Slugger, it would just be about size, because it's not like you have a cockpit.
No, and the Slugger is a small vehicle. The Slugger is like the size of the Vamp. It's just that it's.
I think the Slugger would fall into that like Thunder Machine, Snowcat, maybe $150 range.
Yeah.
Well, I think if they did a Slugger, I could see them scaling it up like they did with the Hiss tank, because the original 3 3/4 inch Hiss is again the size of a Vamp. Right. It's got the same footprint.
Let me ask you guys this, and actually everybody in the chat, I'd love to hear. Oh, Silent Interlude, yes.
Yeah, I thought
Maggot.
about that.
Bring it on, Maggot. Better than the Hiss. I said
a Bug, but that might be classified price.
Will R says the Condor. Oh yeah, Bug would definitely be HasLab. I got so excited about the Maggot, I totally forgot what I was getting ready to say. So I guess we'll move on. Oh no, let me ask you guys. Noel and Kristian, I want to ask you, and I want to ask everybody in the chat here as well. Do you think they should release? It would not be on shelves at Walmart. That's ridiculous. But they could be Pulse exclusives. Do you think they should release stripped down Pulse exclusive versions of the Dragonfly and the Hiss without the electronics? I think that's really the only thing you could pull out. Maybe, the extras from the Hiss. It wouldn't have the extra stuff, but
just the vehicle.
Right.
Yeah, I absolutely think they should.
I think they should too, and I would not in any way be like, oh, I paid for the blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't feel like it would get that reaction.
Because obviously people have different budgets, especially in the economy that we're in now. And that's one thing that I keep, for the years we've been doing this podcast, where I mull over, do some of these things that are HasLabs or crowdfunded need all the bells and whistles. I think putting a stripped down version so that everybody could get their hands on a HISS tank for like $150 would be
I
fantastic.
think 150 might be pushing it, but
Probably closer to 200 for the
I
HISS,
think
because
probably
Okay.
200
it's a very
because
hefty vehicle.
even with the base, I think it's pretty substantial. What is up? Chaz the Guru is in the house and says the Wolverine. I think the Wolverine could be a 150, right?
Well, and I was thinking about it because we all want to eventually to get a HasLab Joe tank, and what Ramen Toys has done with their tank that they're doing is brilliant, because you're getting essentially a 3-in-1, because it can be a tank, it can be a Wolverine, it can be a bridge layer. I mean, it's essentially like a Mauler style, and I kind of wish they hadn't done that so that Hasbro could do it instead.
Yeah.
But that's a great way
Right.
to make that versatile.
Chaz the Guru says Lenny asked a bunch of this about that at SDCC last year. Which repaints of the HISS would we want? Yeah, and you know what? Let's talk about that. Oh, Punk with Toys says Wolverine would be $100. Hey, I'd love it. I'd be down with that.
If you kept it at the scale it was, but if you're trying to beef it up, because I mean, let's face it, the Wolverine's a very unrealistically tiny tank. But if you're going to beef it up like you did with the HISS, then I think it would probably be a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, if you're just doing a straight scale up from 118 to 112, it'd be about the same price as the.
So if you had your pick of his stripped down HISS tank repaints, this is for the chat and for you guys, which color would you choose? Noel, I know you would pick one covered in mud.
Oh no.
No, not a muddy HISS.
No, you know what I'd get? I'd get me a septic tank.
That's not a repaint though. That's like a pretty major retooling.
The only thing is, like, the body itself is the same. It just has that different canopy and.
Yeah, it's the canopy and the turret. I mean, I think that's a little more of a proposition. I'm talking about just repaint.
Straight repaint. Yeah, go for the crimson.
I think that's more realistic of an expectation. I would go for the Arctic.
Yeah, I'm leaning Arctic as well. But you're right. The crimson is probably given their history. Oh, no. Here's what I want.
No, they do Python Patrol.
Yes, I was just getting ready to say I want a Python Patrol HISS tank, even though there's not a basis for it. Who cares? That's going to be so much more fun than anything else they could put out there. Yeah, that's my vote. Python Patrol HISS. In the chat, Will R wants an Arctic HISS. The Real Zim says I'd get repainted HasLabs too. I agree. Silent Interlude agrees with Noel. Septic tank. Tom Henry, HISS and color scheme to match Alley Viper. Oh yeah, let's go. That's even better than Python Patrol. I am down. Rexship 85, I think they'd probably do a Crimson HISS. I think that's a good call. Kevin Riddle agrees. And Jeff Butler says they did tease a Python. Oh, that's right. They did tease that Python Patrol HISS. I totally forgot about that. It was on was it on Metalhead's box? I don't remember. Jeff, refresh us on that. I do remember now. We saw that somewhere.
Surprised we haven't gotten more Python vehicles at this point.
Yeah, because all we've gotten is the Trouble Bubble.
Yep, we got a couple of Tiger Force ones now, and
I don't think they'd have the. I don't think they'd have the cojones to repaint the coil for anything. All right, we got to move on. Hillbilly Harper, what are y'all most excited about that is on the way? And to this I say, what even is on the way? I can't even remember right now.
Dragon Con.
Yes, that's right. Dragon Con is the most exciting thing. Let me pull up my pre-orders Google Note list and run through and see what I'm most excited about. Noel, do you know off the top of your head?
I mean, if, as far as things that I know are going to be arriving soon, the Stinger, I'm very excited about, even though I already have my Vamp. But as far as in the future goes, like I'm super psyched about that Claw. I might get multiples.
Here's mine, the Super 7 O-rings.
Oh, well, yeah.
That is 100% what I'm most excited about.
Which, we haven't heard a lot of motion on that outside of seeing them at Joe Fest.
Yeah, Brian was hoping that they would have some paint masters available to show at San Diego Comic-Con. The timing just didn't work out. So I think New York Comic-Con, around the time they're supposed to be hitting, is probably when we'll see those final
Yeah, I'm
figures.
looking forward to seeing the color schemes, like how much they pop, because I'm really hoping that they're very bright and bold,
vibrant.
Yeah,
absolutely. Oh, it was the Jeff Butler says it was the Duke and Tiger Ram box was where the Python Patrol hiss was, which makes sense because Tiger Force Python Patrol, they've established that. Oh yeah, I'm down with that too. Which New York Night 1974 says tired of hiss. Let's see a Rage tank. I like that also, and that could probably come in at that $100 price point. Like it's a pretty compact. I don't know. That'd probably hit that one. I don't know. 100 to 150.
Do you think an ASP would be at the $100 price point or 150?
I think they'd I think they'd bring that in at the SMS price point,
or even less, because I think it'd be smaller than the SMS.
I don't know, man, because I'm looking at an ASP right now, and they're comparable. A $100 ASP, I don't think is a reasonable expectation. I don't know that I'd spend $100 on an ASP, which doesn't mean they won't do it, but
right.
But and who knows what prices might be in a year or two, anyway.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. Gosh, that's the other scary thing about HasLabs continuing on is it's not just about bigger vehicles; it's also about inflation.
Yep. And the cost of petroleum going up and down, and there's no telling what.
All of the things that they tell us to try and shut us up. Will R thinks the ASP would be $69.99 to $79.99 with a figure.
Yeah, I could see that being the price point. And what kind of figure
like
do we
that
get
to
with that,
be.
though? Do we get another? Because they did a female trooper with both the ferret
claw and the
ferret.
ferret.
Claw.
Yeah.
Do we just keep filling them out with more Valkyries, or do we put another a specialized regular male Cobra Trooper in there?
Yeah, good question. I don't know. It's either. Well, I would rather see a male trooper in that, and then maybe a single carded female trooper with something a little more standardized. I want to see an actual retro style Cobra Trooper, and then a retro style female Cobra Trooper to complement that one. I would like to see both of those things still.
Yeah. Hey, might get it because we've got the one retro coming out. So,
well, that's not really a retro though. I want one without the shin guards and the forearm guards. I want one that is a retro cardback figure. I want an actual retro figure. Rachel Salinas, I'd like to see a classified stun. I agree with you 100%. I love the stun. As ridiculous and impractical as it is, it's one of my favorite vehicles.
Yeah, and I think the stun would probably be in the 150 range because it's
yeah,
I think so as well.
Much larger than the it was a lot larger than the hiss, but I think that it would be smaller than the hiss if you were to do it in classified.
And I think you also have to take in consideration for some of these things, and even the ASP, there's more parts to it. Because when you think about it, the hiss tank is a bunch of shells put together, but the ASP, even though it's all manual, you have to have hinges so it can open. Same thing. And each one of those takes, a molding cost.
I'd love to see it though.
Yeah.
Ooh, Rachel asks, would a classified transportable tactical battle platform be a $200 price or a HasLab? I think it would have to be a HasLab because if it comes in at $200, it is going to be teeny tiny.
Yeah, I think you do as a HasLab, and you can throw in. That one has a lot of ability to throw in several tiers with extra figures. You could include something like a small vehicle, like a Skyhawk or something like that, as part of the base price too.
Well, and I think if you're doing that as a classified, you include an HDMI hookup, you include a nice
What?
duvet and pillow. Like, it will be the size of a twin bed.
Well,
So you might as well use it as an add-on to your house.
I mean, as many people as I've heard saying, do a HasLab Terradrome, that's way smaller than the Terradrome. Although I did hear somebody pitch the idea of doing a half a Terradrome as a HasLab. So you could buy 2 of them if you really wanted to have the full
Well, no,
thing.
you do the half, but then you do the deluxe tier where you get 2 to put together, like they did with the Cantina.
Yeah.
Let's see. Wait, I just lost where I was. Chaz the Guru with lenticular once a man Cobra case that just came out. I think we'll be getting a retro bat with a lenticular chest plate. I would love that. I would also love crystal ball with that lenticular shield action. Actually, I would be up for 2 crystal balls, like a classified update version with some kind of crazy energy shield effect or something, and then a retro one with just the straight up lenticular shield. I'll buy both.
None of that Centurion's hologram stuff, though. We don't want that. We want
no. Yeah, it's all got to be lenticular. Because G.I. Joe had. Isn't it weird? I think we might have talked about this a couple of years ago, but isn't it bizarre that G.I. Joe never did holograms? As big as they were in the 80s.
But they vary. As much as I love the Visionaries toy line, Hasbro learned very quickly with Wave 1. It was incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
To do. I think if we would have gotten the Wave 2 of the Visionaries, you would have seen something.
Right, if it had been more success.
I bet Mega Marines were meant to be hologram, but then we're like, we can't afford it. Slap some Play-Doh in there.
We also never saw the rub-offs in G.I. Joe, which, were used to great success in Transformers and Battle Beasts.
Mm-hmm.
But never made it to Joe. Another weird, why wasn't that gimmick thrown in somehow? All right, we got to keep moving on. Tom Henry, Rattler Too Big. That is our next Audible Interlude shirt. Rattler Too Big. Give me Fang. Also, talk about why Hit and Run is so awesome and not yet in classified. I don't want to pretend the parachute guy is Hit and Run. All right. Well, first of all, I agree. The Rattler is too... Well, okay. No. I don't think the Rattler is too big. I just don't want something that big. But I absolutely do want a Fang. We all want a Fang.
I think we're getting a Fang, so I don't think you have to worry about that.
And then once we have it in hand, we can play the classic They Might Be Giants song from Monopuff, I've Got a Fang. Also talk about why Hit and Run is so awesome, because he's all over camouflage, and we love camouflage here on the show. And the reason he's not yet in classified, Tom Henry, I want you to take a look at some of the figures from classified that have camouflage, and I want you to tell me if you want to see Hit and Run in that kind of low contrast, barely visible camouflage, or if you're glad that they waited until they're doing a better job with camouflage to tackle the king of camo, Hit and Run. That's the stance I'm taking on that. You guys, you have and Hit and Run is so awesome because of the duffel bag, and which I can't wait to see how they execute that with classified. The duffel bag and grappling hook. Just an all-around great figure.
Yeah, and he was after my time. He wasn't one that I had any any attachment to as a kid, but he's one that looks fantastic, and yeah, I'm sure we'll get around to him at some point.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I think that no. Oh my gosh, how many of these did we get today?
Yeah,
so many. That's good though. That's good. Oh, good Lord! Silent interlude with another novella. Apologies if I've asked some iteration of this question before, but watching your creator series and Needless Things, awesome, by the way. Everybody check out the Also on hiatus, Needless Things Creator Series, because I started it before I knew that I was going to have a massive life change coming up. I was wondering what elements go into creating an iconic character. I think Zartan version 1 is probably the best overall G.I. Joe figure ever, but at the same time, if you were to describe Zartan, I would not necessarily be a fan. A master of disguise with only part of a shirt who is mostly maroon and also changes color. He has a mask, but it looks weird, and he always has to wear a hood, and his eyes are just white. Some combination of play features, media representation, and the actual look of the toy just made him cool. What do you think? I'm inspired to create some characters, but only cool ones. Well, of course, only cool ones. Wotash says TLDR. You
There's
guys,
so much that goes into it.
yeah, I mean,
but
it's
I think at least for the part where you're talking about describing them, I think in the design process, the drawings of him probably looked even cooler than he did on the cartoon. I mean, I'm 99% sure of it. Probably better than he looked even on the package. It's when you start looking at where technology was during that time period with what they could do for sculpts that then you get into some of the parts that may be in description, like, okay, we want him to be a master of disguise as an action figure, but we're not there yet where you could, on that small of a figure, where you could like swap out an arm or leg or put an overlay over a torso. So the easiest thing to do is make a half armor that you can pop on and off, and quad guards that you can pop on and off. So I think it's easier nowadays to probably convince people that something is cool when it absolutely isn't. And I think you only need to look at G.I. Joe Extreme to realize that. But I also think, and this, we've mentioned it before, but I think that Larry Hama's writings, like when he gets sent that drawing and he puts the personality together, that those two pieces
Well, and
seal the deal.
some of it's going to happen by accident because you think about who's the most iconic G.I. Joe character. He's the one that they threw in to fill out the line and didn't want to put paint apps on. But
Yep.
and then they had him mute, but Larry Hama turns him into the most exciting character, despite the fact that he gets like no representation really in the cartoon at all for the entirety of the run. I mean, he's a background character for the most part, with a minus a few episodes. But I mean, so it really comes down to that characterization, what makes that character memorable. I think about like other franchises, like with when I think of like Transformers, all the people who remembered it from childhood, they just had nostalgia about Soundwave's voice. So they loved that character because they wanted to be able to imitate him down the line. And, because he was something different. He was a tape player.
Well, I was gonna say, never underestimate the power of someone that can shoot
Yes.
tapes from their chest, which is something. Again, how did G.I. Joe not have that? The Turtles had a vehicle that could shoot pizza. The Decepticons had Soundwave,
which, by the way, was just reissued by Playmates Toys and will be reviewed very soon right here on the Needless Things YouTube channel.
of course.
I never had one when I was a kid, and I almost didn't buy this reissue, but I was like, this is one of the most iconic toys of all time. I have to buy this and review it, and so I did. I think you guys have covered this pretty thoroughly. I'll just throw in there, there's a difference between an iconic character and an iconic figure. And maybe we'll dig deeper into that at some point in the future. I think this warrants further discussion.
Yep.
Sneezy the Squid. Dragon Con is almost upon us. Indeed, it is. Which Joe and Cobra would you want to room share and attend the con with you? And who would be an absolutely not and why? See you all in 23 days. Cobra. Sneezy the Squid, of course, our pal Gary, one of the directors of the Dragon Con American Sci-Fi Classics track, who we are honored and privileged to work with every single year. You can find them in Marriott M103, 105 all weekend long, putting on the very best programming available at Dragon Con. Gary, I would not share a room with anybody because I do not do that. Now, as far as attending the con, I would want to attend the con with Snake Eyes because he's not going to talk my ear off and he's a great break dancer. And I would absolutely not attend Dragon Con. I would absolutely not attend Dragon Con with Sci-Fi because he would be absolutely intolerable, as we discovered in the episode we reviewed with his annoying no, not his little brother, the scientist's little brother. Terrible. What about you guys?
I mean, Snake Eyes was going to be my stock answer, but this is also very similar to the plane question. Because, yeah, he's not going to say much, so I won't mind having him as a roommate. For Cobra, probably Xandar, because it's just be like he's never there.
Good call. I like it.
Who I would not want to attend with, or especially room with, Beachhead, because he doesn't wear deodorant.
Yeah, right. Real quick.
I know some parties he would be popular at, though, at Dragon Con.
This right here is why Snake Eyes is going to be the most fun at Dragon Con.
Yeah, I said he's great at cosplay.
Yeah, that's right. All right.
So for me, maybe one day I'll do a set of Instagram photos about this, but for anyone that has roomed with me in the multitude of years that I've been doing conventions, you have to deal with Fluffy's rules of life if you want to be my roommate. And I don't know that any Joe or Cobra would be able to say beyond a shadow of a doubt, because I would have to alter my rules a little. Rule number 1 would be no fighting, like no secret attacks. Leave that somewhere else. And that's why I just don't know. Like, if I have a Joe staying in the room with me, at some point during the week, some Cobra is going to come crashing through the balcony, and it's going to tick me off.
Joe, because it's going to be Shipwreck, and he's getting in a fight with somebody.
Right. So I would attend the con with Shipwreck, and I would let him keep his booze in my room because we would have all kinds of fun together. But when it came time for everybody to finally get some peace and quiet and sleep, also, Shipwreck would probably break the most important rule underneath no fighting, which is don't have accidents in the bed. And I feel like Shipwreck would just get way too drunk and probably have accidents in the bed.
Well, and also you're going to have polyguano all over the room.
Yeah.
I did not mention the Cobra that I would want to attend with. Obviously, nobody's going to be in my room, but I would attend with Tomax because, as the Ballad of G.I. Joe taught us, he is good at boosting wallets. So we wouldn't be paying for anything all con long. Obviously, stealing is bad. Don't steal.
I wouldn't want a room with Snow Job either, because boy, I hear he likes to drink.
He likes to drink quite a bit. Yeah, he'd be drinking all your booze. You'd be out by day 2. Okay. You guys, that was the last sound off for now. It is time to move on to Joe and Tell, sponsored by Slickalicious. Everybody check out Shop Slickalicious on Instagram. And while you're there at Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram, go to our pinned stories and take a look at all of the shirts that we have available on TeePublic. There are sales all the time. I highly recommend you wait for a sale. And if you show up to any Audible Interlude live event wearing a piece of our merchandise, you will get a free itty bitty ditty bag. Do you guys have Joe and Tell this time around?
Do
Noel, I feel like you have been saddened many times, but when we've had to cut Joe and Tell, so I'm going to let you go first this week.
All right. Well, my Joe and Tell is gonna be unwieldy. I gotta pick it up now.
Excellent, I love it.
But so as many of you have known, I started recollecting GoBots a couple years ago when
Yes, I
picked up
love
a
it.
couple key pieces at Joe Fest. And I've been trying to figure out how to display them because I mean they're great little figures, but they're hard to really display on shelves and things. But I found these guys on Amazon. So this is a shot glass display, and these are little like 3.5-inch compartments.
Yeah.
And they fit. So these are what they call the 600 series machine robo based GoBots, which are the smaller size, and they fit just perfectly. Obviously, this is not going to fit my Super GoBots collection. I bought 3 of these. These house the entire run. And
Whoa.
of those figures, with a few spots to spare. So I've got like the Wendy's ones that they put out in there, and I've got like, because while like Psykill and Leader 1 got 2 versions that were actually different numbers, same thing with Blaster got a second one with a different number. There's 2 versions of Crasher they released, but one of them was just the regular release was the white one, and then the black one kept the same number, so they didn't renumber that one. But what I did just recently do, my job has a little program called Accolades, and we get like essentially just some points that we can spend on Amazon, or you can get gift cards at eBay and stuff. I'm like,
Oh,
I've
nice.
got tons of this stuff later. I bought a PlayStation 5 and a bunch of games last year with it. So I mean, like,
Oh my god.
yeah, I mean,
you do.
but I'm like, I'm saving it for things like, oh, I should save this and put it towards like vacation stuff like that. But I've got a ton of stuff in there, and I'm like, there's 3 GoBots that I didn't have in my collection from this original run. 2 of them never really got released. Never got released in the U.S. Tailpipe and Snoop. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to use some of these points for an eBay gift certificate, and I'm going to go find some nicely priced ones. So I got Tailpipe the other day. I got Blades, which was one I was missing. I had to import those both.
Oh,
One
wow.
from Thailand, one from the UK, and I have Snoop, which is my last one. She was never released in the US as a GoBot, but she did come out in Europe. So she's on her way. She's going through customs right now, and when she arrives, I will have all of the original run of the 600 series Machine Robo GoBots.
That is awesome. So
Yeah, that's amazing.
so is it including the Super GoBots, at least for here in the States, there's 72 altogether, or is it 72 small size?
So the 72, I think there's like 56 or something like that, because there's still spots remaining
Okay.
for some of the other ones. So for some of the recolors that are not numbered, and then the Wendy's ones I have in there, and then I'll fill in with some other oddities if I pick them up. The Super GoBots, completing those and some of those go for over $1,000 in good shape. Spy Eye, Super Cooper, who somebody, I don't remember if it was you or if it was Pete when you lived in that apartment, had a Super Cooper, and that guy goes for like $300 or $400. And then there's there's like 1 or 2 others from that last series of Super GoBots that just got like such low release in the US.
I did not have that.
Yeah.
I'll look in my because I have a tote of like spare Transformers and ones that I have doubles of. I might still have my Defender and Warpath in there if you need them.
I've got I like Defender because he was my favorite as a kid. So I've still got like a wonderfully perfect Defender.
Nice.
Oh, and I also what I don't get to fit in there, and this is a guy that I've always because I do have Puzzler who's amazing because he's a completely self-contained combiner, but this guy is the best thing they ever did.
Oh my gosh,
monstrous! Because this is a 5 robot combiner that does not require any extra parts to put together.
Wait,
And
so
he
in the US, his name
Wow.
was Monstrous?
monstrous, but he was like
Okay.
devil.
He was Devil something. I
Yeah,
love
devil
that
something in Japan.
evil things in Japan always have devil before the name.
Yeah. So I completed him last
Wow.
That's
year.
awesome.
That's really impressive.
Yeah,
the
when
collection
all of
in
my
its
friends
entirety.
were running around and bragging about their Devastators, I was like, I have Puzzler.
Yeah, Puzzler's fantastic.
I like it. I mean,
Except
not
for he's anatomically he's got a little
the individual robots, not that, not as good as say what Takara was doing with Transformers, but as a combiner, yeah, you didn't need any extra pieces.
All right. Shut it down,
Anyway,
guys. We'll
sorry.
do a GoBots episode next April 1st.
We're doing a GoBots panel at Dragon Con.
Yeah, well, that wouldn't be a bad
Transformers
idea for
versus
next year.
GoBots.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and go next because my Joe and Tell is because of something that Kristian said. I ended up with look at that guy. I got myself a
Yay.
Heat Viper. Never had one before. Mercari had their coupon thing that they do where you get $10 off just for buying something. So I got, I think it was like $18 shipped, and it's in great. It needs a new O-ring. He's a little loosey here, but no paint missing or anything, in pretty good shape. Looks good, and I love it. The purple and yellow is awesome. That big cannon is absolutely preposterous, and why it's plugged into his helmet, I don't know. His breath is
mentally, he mentally fires it.
that his breath is so bad. Well, it's not just that. It's got two different. I don't understand this at all. And plus, this helmet, he really needs a new O-ring. With that quarter of his chin sticking out. What is that all about?
Yeah.
It's just bizarre, but I love it.
Yeah, there were. I never quite understood what was going on with that helmet with that figure.
Well, and what are these unaffiliated rockets on his legs?
Oh.
Like they don't go into the I guess flamethrower or whatever this is. They're just these bizarre little rockets. So what is
just
he
to
like?
Make him more expensive to find complete.
Does he kick his leg up and they shoot off of his leg? Like what is this? Somebody explain this thing to me. But anyway, I've got it. I've never had one before, and I'm one step closer to completing that Real American Hero collection that I guess I'm on my way to completing someday.
One day.
And unfortunately,
lost Kristian.
Kristian was so overwhelmed by me giving him credit for that.
The hurricane got him.
The Toy Odyssey says, Joe designs are so outlandish, and I'm all for it. Me too. I love my classic Joes. I started in '82. I love the original designs, but I am on board for the whole ride, '82 to '94, and Classified. Whatever they want to do, let's go. I'm all about it. Well, I hate to close it out without Kristian, but I think that's what we're going to have to do here. Because we have come to the end of our show. Noel, why don't you tell us a little bit about the Finest?
The Finest is an international G.I. Joe costuming club that raises money for a great organization called Canines for Warriors. Check out thefinestcc.com or the Finest Recruitment Center on Facebook if you ever thought about joining up. And come see us when you're at your next convention if we happen to be there and help us raise money.
And the finest probably at Dragon Con, right? And in the parade as well, I would imagine.
No official finest presence at Dragon Con. There will be many members of the finest there. And
Sure.
we were there once the parade group was identified as the finest by Dragon Con TV, but we are not officially. That's pretty much open to everybody there. We have our like little meetups and stuff, but even those are open to just whoever wants to stop by.
I got some comments. We got really good comments coming in right at the end of the show here. So we're gonna go ahead and hit those, and maybe Kristian will show back up. Jeff Butler says Kristian got excited and went to start prep on the GoBots panel, and you know what? That's probably exactly what just happened. Silent Interlude says, I used to hate the garish figures, but now I love them. I'm right there with you. I used to anything past really 87, barring a few things, I used to just look at and just poo-poo. But now I love it all. I think it's all great. The Toy Odyssey, let's be honest, their vehicles weren't the most practical designs. No, as we mentioned earlier, the stun is absolutely ridiculous, but I love it. White Vegeta, I'm 100% all in on classified, but at the moment, I really want them to venture into other eras like Renegades for some design inspiration. Absolutely. We've talked before, Renegades, Sigma 6, a lot of the Joe versus Cobra stuff.
I'm not a huge fan of Resolute, but I think some of the character designs are amazing.
Yeah, definitely. And then,
the Baroness and the Destro specifically.
Even G.I. Joe Extreme. Like, there's a lot of stuff that can be mined. And
I want an Iron Claw so bad.
What we often say about, like, remakes and stuff is don't, remaking good stuff, okay, whatever. But what's really exciting is when they remake stuff that wasn't that great the first time around. Like, make it cool, make it better.
Toy Odyssey, yeah, I definitely want that Sunbow colors.
Let's see, which one are we looking at?
A Toy Odyssey there.
By the way, Hasbro, please give us a retro card, Flint. Yeah, I agree. All right, well, that is all the show we've got. Kristian, go ahead and keep working on that GoBots panel. We won't do it till next year, but you'll probably spend the whole entire year working on it. Everybody here in the chat, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends about Audible Interlude. It's the only way that we can grow. Come out and see us at Dragon Con. Next week is our audio-only segments episode that you can get anywhere you listen to your podcasts. Thank you. Until next time, yo, Joe.
Cobra.